So, welcome everybody. So, my name is Argenis, and today we're going to be talking about business taxes and insurance. So, the name of the channel is Business Taxes and Insurance Depot, right? No pun intended. So, today we're going to be talking about starting a business, my experience with starting a business, and basically all the hurdles you may have to go through, all the headaches you may have to go through. So I made this channel basically is to help out others who are going through this process, who are looking for some sort of side gig, or just looking to start a full-blown business that they can call their own and that they don't need to have a boss. But the process to that can get very tricky if you're trying to do it all by yourself, which is why I'm here to help you guys with this whole process. So today, basically, we're going to go over a few topics that are really, really important to starting a business. So obviously, when you're starting a business, you want to know what kind of business you're starting out with, whether it is a service, it's a product, or information, right? So, tell you a little bit about myself. So, I started a business in the product side, right? So, I have a product and I sell it to the masses. Um, so, there's benefits and there's drawbacks to doing either or. So, I'll start with the service. So, from my experience, it seems like service has a good side of being highly profitable, right? So you're basically doing a service for someone and they're paying you right away, usually for the most part. So, but the issues that I've heard from, colleagues, friends of mine, is that it's not very scalable. Um, Obviously, there's exceptions to the rules all the time, but it's very hard to scale those businesses out. Um, Next is product, which is what I'm currently in. So the profits can be medium to low, depending on what you're doing. It's a lot easier to scale, right? So in our business, I've gone from anywhere from starting out a couple years back to a couple $100 a month to now we're doing hundreds of thousands a month, right? So that was fairly easy to do. Obviously, there's challenges through all of that, so it wasn't relatively easy, but it's easier than another field. The next one is that you see kind of everywhere is information, right? You go on Google, everyone's selling information or how-tos, etc. You go on YouTube and you find how-tos all of the time, right? So those are highly profitable because you record it, you do it one time, and after that, usually you don't have to do it again. You might have to maintain it with some sort of customer service, helping out the people who you're teaching, but it doesn't have to it's not highly capital intensive because you're not having to rebuying the goods or servicing the client over and over and over again on a monthly basis. For the most part, it's relatively repetitive after you put in your initial capital cost, whether that is setting up the software, hiring the product engineers, and then for the most part, after that initial capital investment, you're going to see that it's relatively low cost because you're just maintaining either the sales funnel or you're just maintaining the client with good customer service. So once you've picked out what you want to do, then what you want to look into is your research. Another thing I want to um, kind of put in there as an insert before we move on to the next topic is that necessarily you don't have to love exactly what you do. I think we have this in our society now where everyone wants to say, yeah, love what you do, you never work a day in your life. Um, that is just not true, right? We can't all do what we like to do because the reality is that you have to provide some sort of benefit to our society. Some of us just want to sit at home and do absolutely nothing. I know I would love that, but the reality that doesn't really pay much money. So just focus on something that you know you generally like, that you can enjoy doing for a very long time, and that before you know it, what you're going to be seeing is a lot of the process is very boring, but you're going to enjoy either making money, making other people's lives better, just changing other people's lives with what you created out of your own thoughts. So next is the research part. This part is extremely crucial that you look into, because you don't want to get into a niche that is overly saturated, that it's very hard to get into if you do not have a lot of capital to throw out at this business. You don't have a lot of time as well. So you want to make sure that you're looking into those factors, right? As well, low entry level businesses require a lot of time, right? A lot of TLC, tended love and care. So you have to depend on where you are in life, right? If you are a younger man, well, you may have a lot more time in your hands, not as much capital. If you're a little bit on the older side, you might have more capital, less time. So you may want to choose the business depending on where you're at in life and what you're also looking to get out of it, whether that is just experience. We all want money, obviously, right? So all those things that you kind of need to understand yourself and who you are and what you have. Next, what I would focus on is leaders in your space. You want to make sure that you are pretty much obsessive about all these people, who they are, what's their background, what have they done before. The reason all this is important because it plays into how you're going to run your business, what things are the big fish in your industry doing, right? Most of the time, those are things that are going to be hard to compete with on a price basis, so it's something you may want to stay away from. Obviously, if you feel like you can do something a little bit different and attack onto that, make it just a tad bit different, that's great. But if you're going to do the exact same thing, apples to apples, it's going to be hard. It's like competing with one of the Fortune 500 giants at their own game. They have more money, they have more time, more experience, more of everything to compete with you. And before you know it, you'll be, hitting your head against the wall wondering, why can't I get this to stick? It's because you are competing with someone who has hundreds of millions of more dollars than you. Although we have seen successes in all aspects of businesses and all genre of businesses, but it is very, very hard to do. And I would highly suggest that you do not do it because it's just going to be a headache unless you're an experienced professional and you understand the business, you understand what you're going to do different, how you're going to get into this market. If not, I would highly recommend staying away from. Next is join Facebook groups about your industry. You want to immerse yourself in this industry. You want to know everything you possibly can. And the reason behind that is that you want to make sure that you understand it as much as you can before you get into it. Because the last thing that you want to do is spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and to realize this isn't for you. By then, it's too late and you are indebted, whether you have loans or you have commitments to other people, right? When you are the boss, you are committed to others people. They're depending on you for a job, resources, etc. And you need to make right on those commitments. You do not want to let these people down because you only have one name that you come in this world with and you have to protect it. Your legacy, who you are, is very important, and know, and wherever you live, that will go around and that you are that person who just drops the ball, doesn't care about your employees or your vendors, so you do not want to do that. Next, I highly, highly recommend that you look into how much it's going to cost for you to start this business. I know there's a lot of gurus or folks saying out there, hey, you can start with no money. I highly, highly do not suggest that. Have at least bare minimum, depending on your industry, a couple $1,000 just as a safety net. Even if they tell you that you do not have to start out with any money, just a couple $1,000 doesn't hurt. Even, there's a situation where you need, 10, 20, 30, $40,000, then do that. Save that money so that you need, whether it's the right equipment, with the right technology, the right people to hire, etc. It's important that you understand that you are going to need money. Money is like oxygen to a business. It needs it to breathe, to grow, etc. As well, you're going to want to understand how long are you willing to commit to this, right? Is this going to be a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year commitment for yourself? Are you just looking to flip this, get in, and get out. My recommendation is from the people who I've seen and those who have built strong businesses is this is a bare minimum 5 to 10 year commitment. So make sure that you can at least commit to this for the next 5 to 10 years consistently, day in and day out. You generally don't get too much of a time off from this. You're going to be doing this day in, day out. You don't have to love it. Just enjoy the process of doing it and seeing progression. From my personal experience, I don't always love doing what I'm doing, but I love seeing the progress. I fall in love with seeing, hey, we are a little bit better than we were 2 months ago. Look where we were currently at. Also, while you're doing this, it's also good to take pictures so you can remember and laugh back at the hard times and go, wow, remember when we used to do this? Now we have this machine or that machine, right? It makes it a little bit more enjoyable. You endure the process a lot better because you understand that there's going to be better days in the future. Okay. The next thing is that you want to do this ties into research. You want to understand what you're good at and what you're not good at, right? There's certain skills that you may have already, right? Whether that is you're good at HR, you're good with people, you're good with hiring people, you can find talent, you can smell them, right? Um, or you're good at selling, right? Many of us are natural salespeople, so we're good at convincing people, helping people get what they need, right? Or you're good with management. You're good with getting a group together to, finish a project, etc. Whatever is your skill set, write it down, know it. Now you have to do the opposite. You have to find what you're not good at and understand that you are going to need those people in your business. One of the pivotal things starting out that I noticed in my own personal business that I needed was, first of all, I had to learn operations very quickly. Understanding the flow of the process is essential to keeping the lights on in your business. Second was HR. Third was legal. And fourth was accounting. All those things I did not know, so I had to hurry up and get people in those roles, whether you hire them or the third party contractors. You want to do those things as soon as possible if you can afford it, because before you know it, you do not want to be any sort of legal trouble. That's just another headache. You want to make sure the lights are on and that you're making money, right? So all those little things are for my own personal experience, but you find out on your own. So the next thing that I want to talk about is the legal. And here, what I want to go over with you guys is verifying, now that you've done all this homework, is verifying your business name that it's available. So one of the ways that you can do that is by going, I'm in Pennsylvania, so one of the ways I do this is by clicking a free business search. So what you can do is go to file.dospa.gov, right? When it comes to anything, whether it's forms, applications that have to do with your legal entity, or any of that kind of stuff, I would definitely make sure that you're going to .gov websites. It's the most secure. You don't have to worry because it's going directly to them. So this is the Pennsylvania Department of State. I would click a search here, um, and let's just say I'm wanting to call myself something in the cohorts of the new Wells Fargo. This is my business name. I'm opening up some sort of new bank, right? So they found no searches for this, or let's say Fargo Bank USA. So they found no name matches on the Pennsylvania state database. So this is a good name to choose. One thing is, obviously this is for entertainment purposes here. We want to make sure that when it comes to trademark names, obviously Wells Fargo is a trademark name that you don't want to infringe on anyone's trademark. This is just for entertainment purposes here, and I was just picking off names that came from the top of mind, right? So once you have picked that, the name that you have um, is not um, infringing on someone's trademark, and also here allows you to see if you are infringing on someone's trademark. So you can put Wells Fargo, and it'll let you know if it's infringing on someone's trademark or not. See here. So right now it's telling you that it's not. But this is just in the state. We also have to check federal and the federal level as well, and just to make sure that you are not infringing on someone's trademark. That's something that I can go over in the next video. But for this, we're going to go from we've decided that our name, our business name, Fargo Bank USA, no one has it. Um, After this, you trade the trademarks. From here, you want to check, the federal trademarks, make sure that you're not infringing on someone's trademark. Next, what you want to be doing is submitting your LLC, S corp, or your C corp paperwork to the state. If you're gonna be opening up an LLC, which seems to be the most common type of company that most people open up, I highly, highly recommend. This is just for tax purposes that you have more than one person, whether that is a trusted person that's gonna go in half and half, or 51-49, or whatever is the partnership toll with you that you have them there. It's gonna help you out in the long term. Or whether it's your spouse, you can just put he or she on the LLC, and that way it works, a lot better for you tax purposes. Just looks a little better. So you're going to have to fill out a bunch of paperwork, have your operating documents pretty much written up. For this, I highly recommend that either you use a service, or at best, I would have a lawyer, a professional do this paperwork for you. It's going to save you tons and tons and tons of headaches down the future if you are ever in some sort of case where you have to understand, what are my operating procedures for this, that, and the third. It's a lot easier to tell a lawyer, hey, this is exactly what I want, how I want it, in the case you're ever in some sort of dispute with a partner, or you just don't know what to do in a certain case. Well, you already told the lawyer how to do it, when to do it, so that way it's all spelled out for you. Okay. So once you're done with all that, what you have to do is pretty much then fill out this form here, this Pennsylvania Department of State Bureau of Corporations and Charitable Organizations, your articles of incorporations. Obviously, we are speaking about for-profit companies. So you're going to put your name here, the mailing address of the business, or where it's being registered. A lot of the time, for the first couple times, you might use the lawyer as the registering agent here. And then you can put your email, so they'll email it to you once it's all filed. So there's a $125 fee, just very affordable. You're gonna click on the you're a business, obviously for a business here, and you're gonna fill this all out for you. I recommend, as I said before, that you do this through a lawyer. If you have the lawyer do this for you, it's going to be one less thing that you're going to have to think about. It's going to make your life a lot easier than having to do all this paperwork. Obviously, you want to do research about it, understand it, but if you allow the professionals to do the work that they're trained to do, it will make your life a lot easier. Okay? So next is registering for a fictitious business name. This is just another form that you can find on the Secretary of State's website. So all you're doing here is putting a fictitious name. If you have a different name, let's say I have Bill Clinton LLC is the name of my LLC, but I want to have Dollar Bill Club as my fictitious name. Then you have to apply for that. Let them know what your fictitious name is. It's going to cost you a fee of $70. not too much. You just let them know what your name is, what you want, and how you want it. Okay. So next, what I recommend is that you start applying um, for your EIN number. Your EIN number is basically like the business social security number. It's really important that you know this number, that you have this number filed up. So this is what I'm going to show you guys next on how to apply for your EIN number. So now we're at the stage we have submitted our paperwork to the Secretary of State, whichever state you're in. All you have to do is Google that website, submit all that paperwork, submit your fictitious name. So now we are going to be talking about your EIN number, right? This is like your social security number for the business, right? If for this example, I'm going to go with the LLC, right? So here you're going to go to the IRS. All you have to do here is a simple Google search, apply for employee identification number online, right? You type that up, the one that's not sponsored that has the irs.gov website, that's going to be the one that you want to pick. So from here, what you want to do, you can read all this, or like me, you can just click on apply online, right? So I've done this before, which is why I just went straight into it because this is not my first time doing this. But I recommend just for educational purposes that you read it all so you understand how long this is going to take and how important it is that you guard this number once they send it to you. Okay. So then you want to begin in your application here. And all you're doing is you're picking the entity structure that you have chose already. So in this case, it would be an LLC, which is the one that we're talking about here. You would hit continue. You would read over what an LLC is and if you qualify to be an LLC. As I mentioned before, it's in your best interest if you're going to be an LLC that you have more than one person. So you're considered a multi-member LLC. That way you get more of the tax benefits instead of being a single member LLC. So it's one of those things that I highly recommend. I know it's hard in the beginning starting up, trusting people with your business, your baby, but it's in your best interest if you have that. Okay. So here you're going to put how many members are in your LLC. You're going to select the state that you're located. So here we're just going to put two. Here we're going to put Pennsylvania. And we're going to hit continue. Okay. So we are due to due to the number of members in your LLC, you're considered a multi-member LLC company. Okay. Next, we're going to keep going. Let's choose one of the reasons that best describes why you're applying for this LLC, right? So in our case, we just started a new business. This is all hypothetical, right? We just started a new business, so this is why we're applying for an LLC. Okay. So please tell us about the responsible party. So here you just put your first, last name, your social, and then choose that you're one of the owners, right? If this is a lawyer doing it for you on your behalf, there'd be a third party applying for an EIN for this LLCs on your behalf. So if your lawyer is nice enough to do this for you, I'd highly recommend it. It's just going to save you time, right? So I'm going to stop here, but the rest of it is very simple. So you're going to put your first, last name, your social, you're going to put that you're an owner, you're going to hit continue, you're going to put your address, some details about yourself and the company, and then from there it's going to spit out an EIN. At worst cases, if you have some issues, it's going to mail it to you. Sometimes the IRS is trying to confirm who you are, where you are. If there's some sort of conflict, you can always reach out to them I suggest calling them instead of emailing them. I have emailed them before, I've mailed them before, and it has taken months and months and months and months and months to get to them. So I highly recommend that if you're going to talk to the IRS, you call them. The wait time is very long, and now this was in 2021, obviously for me, and I had to call them for an issue that I had with them. Um, and I've waited hours just to get on the phone with someone about a address change. It's something so simple, could take so long, but it's worth it because you don't want to have mixed documents when it comes to the next topic. One of the next topics that we're going to talk about later down this video. Okay, so once you're done with all this, make sure that you're looking now into getting your business license from your local municipalities. It's very important that this is something that you're doing next. You're gonna need it just to do business in general. You don't want to have any headaches. This process can cost you anywhere from $200 to $600, etc. In my county, it cost me every year. I think the first time I did it was about $500, I believe, to get everything settled with my business license. It's just something you have to do. And we highly recommend that you do this very soon. That way, you don't have anyone knocking on your door asking you to stop your operations. Next is that you want to register with the state that you're currently in about your business taxes. This includes sales, use, and hotel occupancy tax, employer withholding tax, and unemployment compensation tax and account registration. So the last part, the employer withholding tax and unemployment compensation tax, this is more if you have employees already, right? So if you don't have employees, you don't want to apply for this. It's just going to be more of a headache. But if you do have one employee or more, you do now have to start withholding tax from your employees and also applying for unemployment compensations tax, right? So all these things are things you do not want to you know, push for a later date because it's going to catch up with you. It's going to be more of a headache. You're going to face more penalties, more issues, and that's just going to take away from you getting more revenue, getting more clients for your business, for allowing it to grow so that way you can make more profit. Okay. I'm going to go over here where you can go to your state to sign up to pretty much get a Pennsylvania business tax license. So give me 1 second here and let me open up this page. One of the next parts that is really important that you sign up for before anything, you're registering your business and you're doing all this paperwork, you might as well just get it all knocked out. So since I'm in Pennsylvania, I put in a Pennsylvania business tax registration. So we obviously have to register with a couple people. We register with our county or municipality, we register with the state, and we register with the IRS. So it's really important that you do all three. Don't miss any because the last thing that you want to do is find out, hey, you owe all this money, and you weren't prepared for it, or you didn't do things the right way, right? So from here, I opened up this link here for PA100state.com dot PA.us. So this used to be the website. They recently have changed it to MyPath here. So I've gone to MyPath here and I clicked on the new business registration options. So this is if you want to register for business use tax, employee withholding tax, a bunch of these, uh, you know, tax registrations that you have to as an employer once you have employees or et cetera, or just depends on the nature of your business. So here, for most of us at least, you're going to have to sign up for your sales, use, and hotel occupancy tax, right? That's something that most business are going to sign up for. This just means if you are selling anything, you are taking money from a customer or a business, you're going to have to sign up for this because you have to pay sales tax. Unless you're in a state that does not require sales tax, I believe states like Texas and Florida do not. So if you are in those states, and then you're all right. Actually, take that back. Actually, I think I'm wrong on that. So someone double check me on that, but I think I'm wrong. I think there is sales tax in Florida. Maybe something has to do with the personal income tax. Okay, so here we're just going to click on next. We're going to register our entity, your LLC here. So here you're going to pick that you're a limited liability company if that's what you are. And you want to make sure that you let them know that are you a single member LLC? No, you're not. Have you been elected to be classified as a C corporation? Just let them know no. Is this business organized for profit? Of course we are. Has your business received your determination of internal revenue service corporation? Is exempt from federal taxes? No, we have not. What is your EIN number? As you remember, we applied for our EIN number. So here is going to be some sort of number. It could start with, 65, then it has a dash, and then it has could be 1025477 could be a bunch of numbers, but before you get to this step, you obviously in the step that we did before, we had to apply for this. So that way you know, you can start applying for these things with your local state. If you haven't applied for your EIN number or your federal employee identification number, you have to do it so that you can move on to these steps and you can pick you know, what types of services or um, business taxes that you need. For the most part, most businesses need some sort of a sales tax, whether you're withholding that sales tax and then you're remitting it back to the state because that's something that can add up very quickly, depending on the business that you're doing. If you're doing a lot of volume, before you know it, you could owe the state hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales tax, and if you are not um, aware of that, that could bankrupt you very easily. So I'm going to stop on this step here so I don't put any of our company information here, just for protection reasons. We don't want to put all that stuff out there in the internet. But here is one of the steps. You just follow the prompts. It's going to ask you for your legal name, doing business name, your fictitious name. If you have more than one establishment, location, etc. What's your physical location? You can give them either, where you're currently doing business. If you have any additional entity addresses, whether you have subsidiaries, etc. And then you're just gonna hit continue and continue and continue. And then after that, you're going to basically click on the services that you would like to apply for. As I said before, since most of you who are watching the video may just be starting your own business, make sure that you're not asking for any sort of employer withholding or unemployment. The reason being is that if you don't have any employees or, there's no point in doing this because you don't have anything to report back to these agencies, and these agencies are quite responsive, meaning that they're at the end of a quarter, usually 3 months later. Let's say if you started in January, they're going to ask for this information. They're going to ask, hey, how come you haven't remitted anything? And you have to understand that that's their job, and it can get quite annoying sending back the paperwork, getting on the phone with these people to understand what's going on. Okay. So once you're done doing all this, um, I highly recommend that before you've done all this is that you hired a lawyer to do this for you. The 600, $800 to hire a lawyer to do this, it will save you in time, headache, and most importantly, doubt. You'll understand once you're doing it why, unless you are extremely analytical and you like going through paperwork and you like doing all these services, then hey, go and do it. Personally, I'm not that type of person. I would like the professionals who do this, who went to school for this, to do this for me. It made my life easier. Starting out in any day of the week, I would do it again. The next thing that I want to stay touch is to look for your local health department and their regulations, zoning regulations. All these little things are very important that you understand, because the last thing that you need is someone coming at your door asking you, why don't you have this? Why don't you have that?" If you're selling anything, a product that is weighed, let's say you're selling cement by weight, you're selling, apples by weight. Make sure that you have the proper scales, the proper equipment that is should be registered with your state. So that way you do not have any issues operating your business. If you have, a corner store, make sure that all your scales are, for business use, and now that you bought them online. All these things are very important so that you can continue doing business and you do not have to stop. And this is why it's very important to do all this research before you even start doing business, right? That is part of the research. You want to make sure that you understand what you're getting yourself into. Now, you don't want to delay the process as to, oh, I haven't started this business because of this, but you want to do your research. Make sure that you're taking aggressive action and being patient at the same time. One of the next topics I want to talk about is taxes and business structure. As we went over it recently, we talked about, um, you know, what sort of structures most people go into, whether that's an LLC, an S corp, a C corp. They all have their different stages, and you can change them. All you have to do is talk to your accountant, your lawyers, and send that information to the IRS. As well, I'd highly recommend that you get professionals to look at this. You want to have a lawyer, your accountant, all these folks look at this information so that they can help you make the best decision for you. All right. So for taxes and business structure, one thing I want to talk about is business privilege tax. Wherever county that you're doing in, you're most likely going to have to pay this. It's just basically a tax for doing business in that county, in that city, in that town, etc. It comes every year, at least for my county. I pay it. It's depending on it. For us, it's depending on the amount of revenue that we go through. It's usually around 800 bucks. It's no big deal. Just give it to the county. Less headaches that you have to deal with. Okay. Once you start getting employees, right, you're going to now have to apply for employee withholding tax. So you're gonna have to go to your state's website with PA revenue.pa.gov on my path. You're gonna have to go there, apply for this so you can withhold money from your employees. Another service that you're going to have to add on to this to make your life easier is an HR service, right? You want to add it so that they take the taxes out of your employee's paycheck and they remit them to your local municipality, your state, and your federal government. This is going to be a time saver, and you can find these services relatively cheap, for under 200 $300 a month. So I highly recommend it, because before you know it, you will take more time doing it yourself, and if you pay yourself a decent hourly rate, you have would have wasted so much time and money, as well the possible chance of making errors, which will cost you a lot more money in the end and headache and time. So I highly recommend, once you get to that point, that you do that. The next step, as you're growing and you're getting more money, things are going better for you, is that you get a good bookkeeper. So something that our company did is that we got a recommendation as to a good bookkeeper, and they have been great ever since. And that's something that's really important, that you start associating yourself. And earlier on in the video, I mentioned getting into those Facebook groups, meeting up with people. Those things are very important, because they can give you a good referral and say, hey, go see X, Y, and Z. And X, Y, and Z will understand your business, will understand your business model, and they will make looking at the numbers a lot easier. You will understand your numbers a lot easier and take care of you. So when that tax season comes around, you understand, and your bookkeeper helps you, uh, get all those taxes done a lot easier with your accountant. Okay, so that's something we highly recommend. Do not skip out on it. It's going to cost you more money in the end than it's really worth. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is finances. So obviously, finances are a pivotal, very important part of your business, right? By now, if you're watching this, it's obvious that you understand that a business, needs money to survive. It's like oxygen to the business. The more money you have, the better. I know some gurus are going to tell you that, hey, you don't need any money, and that's fine. But I'm just going to tell you, from my experience, that is a complete lie. The more money that you have in this game and in any business game, the better. Obviously, if you have too much money and you misuse that money, you're just burning your money on, so that's never good. But once you understand your business model, the operations, and how to make a good profit, it's basically just rinse, wash, and repeat. So in having more money definitely helps, so you can scale, you can get the right people in the right seats for you to grow your business, right? So one thing I want to touch on when it comes to finances is your personal credit. Your personal credit is really important. So I know a lot of people say, "Oh, well, just put it on the business credit." Well, when you're first starting out, it really doesn't work like that because you don't have any business credit, and it's really important that you have a decent personal score, because when you're going to go to a bank, when you're going to go to a lender, when you're going to go to a credit card company, and you're asking to get XY limit, right? They're going to be looking at your personal credit, right? To see if you are a good person to lend out money to. Are you going to pay this bank back or this credit card company back, etc.? So they have to make sure that they're protecting themselves. That's the first thing they're going to look at, if you're just starting out, and then they're going to look at the business credit. And but if you don't have any business credit, they have really nothing to go off, right? You don't have any revenue or anything significant to do. One thing I would highly recommend for everyone is to check their personal credit score religiously when you're first starting out, and even after that, just so that you know where you're currently at, and when you're applying for loans, or you're applying anything that has to do with a financial product. So what I currently use is my FICO. This is not some sort of link or affiliate link. This is just currently what I use. I'm just letting you guys know. I have this on my phone. I pay about $28 a month. Um, or you can just use the free apps. Experian is one of them. You can just check your personal score, make a free account. You can go to Equifax. You can check your score there. Um, as well, TransUnion's another company, where you can sign up and get your free information there. You can go and ask for them to send you a free report of all your three uh, uh, credit scores. I believe they can do this once a year for you. That's really nice, so you understand where you're currently at. Like I said, some sort of monitoring app is best. That way you know where you're currently at, as your credit score can fluctuate depending on how you use your credit, what you have on your credit, etc. That way you currently know, and it's also very important because as you're growing in your business, and if you're spending a lot on your credit, and you're going to be applying for a credit card or a loan, maybe you want to dial it back on your credit card usage. That way you look like a better candidate when you're applying for these things, and the banks don't deny you, right? So next, we're going to talk about credit lines, credit cards, and starter business credit cards, right? So all of these things are going to depend on um, your personal credit, how much funds you have in your bank account currently. So it's really important to have some money. As I said before, a lot of these gurus are going to tell you that, hey, you don't need any money, that you're just fine how you are. But realistically speaking, that's a big old lie. You want to have something, at least a couple $1,000s, so that you show that these financial companies that you're a real business and you're here to do business, not to joke around. This is not just a dream or a wish. You're here to do business. So it's very important you have some sort of history there that you're looking to do business. All right. So now we're gonna talk a little bit about starter credit cards for businesses. So one of the ones that are, they're talked about a lot in the business community when you're starting up is Divvy. So you go to getdivvy.com/credit, you apply for the credit card, and you get going. So Divvy, from experience, is one that you want to have something in your bank account because if you don't have any sort of history with them or any sort of business credit with them, or you don't have any business credit at all, they don't really have much to go off. And what they're gonna go off is basically what you have in your bank account, your your personal credit history, and then they'll make a decision based off of that. Okay. One thing to understand about credit Divvy is that it's not a like your personal credit card where you can't pay it all off when the month ends. Divvy is a charge card, meaning whatever you use, let's say you use $10,000, they're expecting you, at the end of when your bill is due, is to pay the whole $10,000 back. So that's really important to understand when you're using Divvy. Divvy should be used, if you're buying whether something simple like you're buying some supplies for your your employees that you normally buy, that instead of using your debit you want to use this credit card here to rack up some points so that you can use the points later on in the year. Divvy is great. It is a credit card that we've used in the past. It has, decent. Doesn't have the best points. Obviously, there's cards with better options, but it's a good starter credit card just to get your feet wet, get going, start using some credit to buy different things that you need, whether that's products, whether that's services, etc. Information as well, knowledge, just to get you started. Okay. Another one that I put here on the line is the Capital One Spark Small Business Credit Card. So this one, it's really good if you have a relationship already with Capital One. It makes it a little bit easier to get the card. They do have the 2% cash plus. Um, it's not something that our business generally cares too much about, but it's nice getting points back, etc. So those are just entry level credit cards. I would recommend that you start out with. It's business is hard enough. It's good if you can use someone else's cash, then repay it back, and that way you don't accrue these high interest rates that these credit card companies have, from anywhere from 18% to some as high as 30%, etc. So you just want to make sure that you pay everything back as soon as possible. And the last one I'll talk to you about is the Citizens credit card. It's relatively very easy for you to get. One thing I highly recommend is that they're going to ask you what your revenue numbers are, how long you've been doing business. If you just started, get some sales under you, get a couple months in, and then you can go report back and say, hey, these are my revenue numbers. Maybe I'm doing 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 100,000. You want to have something to explain so that way you have the best chance of getting a decent balance with these companies, a decent amount to spend, sorry, with these companies. It just puts you in a better light with these companies, and they see that you're actually doing business instead of just being a general gig. Some of the credit cards that I haven't put up here is because of the difficulty of obtaining them. And what I mean by that is that you have to have very, very good credit to obtain them. Also, if you have a relationship with them, it helps out a lot. And these are primarily most of the Amex cards that you see. They're advertised everywhere for business. The only thing is that they're not as easy to get as you think. Um, if you don't have very good credit history, They want a very good business history as well, and also being a member with them and the personal side helps out a ton. They're extremely useful if you need to go somewhere, whether that's flight points, meals, etc., or you just need to travel a lot. They have very good limits. One of the ones we've had success with, because of the repayment cycles of our business, is the Plum Card, which allows you to basically um, have a longer repayment period, but if you pay quicker, they give you more points, etc. So those are just little things to watch out for and not get too involved into the hype of things. In the beginning, you don't want to have too many inquiries on your credit report, your personal credit report. So just start off with the basics if your credit is so-so. If your credit is great and you know you can get the Amex cards, then hey, all power to you, go for it, get them as soon as possible because they're definitely going to help out your business. But those are just some of the credit cards that I recommend getting just to start you out. Another huge tip, and this is something, obviously talk to your lawyers about legal advice. Do not take legal advice from me, but this is just advice that I've been told personally. Separate your personal assets from you know, from your company. Meaning, do not keep lending money to your company. Do not keep buying things that are for your company with your personal bank, right? And keep mixing these accounts, right? It doesn't look good. If there was ever some sort of issue, it's a little bit easier for them to pierce the veil of your LLC, go after not only you, but also the assets of the LLC, or vice versa, the assets of the LLC and your personal assets. Like I said, this is not legal advice, but consult a lawyer, talk to them about how you should structure things so that you do not get in any of these troubles. Life happens, accidents happen, but you want to protect what you've been working so hard for. As I said before earlier in this video, this is going to be, for most of us, a 5+ year journey, meaning you've worked so hard, you want to protect these things. So make sure you're not mixing too much of your personal with your business, right? Your bank account for your business should buy the business things, should do the business things. Your personal is for your personal life. Keep them separate as much as humanly possible to avoid headaches in the future. Next, we're going to talk about business banking. I was personally recommended, and it's kind of the general consensus in the small business community, is that you go after smaller banks. Don't go after the really big banks. They're not really looking for your business, to be honest with you. They might advertise as they are, but they really aren't interested. They have enough money, enough clients. Go for the local banks. They will be more excited. They'll treat you better. They'll answer your calls when things go wrong in the night. They'll be a bit more personal with you because they want your business, right? So go for the smaller local banks, the credit unions, etc. They're gonna have nice and easy products that are available to you. Usually within, if you have a good balance inside that bank account, within a couple of months, they're going to offer you a credit card as well. They might offer you a line of credit, a loan if you have a very high balance, etc. They're going to be a little bit nicer to you. They're going to take care of you a little bit better. That's just my recommendation. Just do a quick Google search of the banks in your local community, in your local town, etc., city, and you're going to find a bunch, right? You're going to go to them, have all your information, all your paperwork in line, your operating agreement, your EIN number, your sales tax number, um, where you're currently doing business, your business phone number, your website, all these little things that we talked about earlier in the video. You want to have them set and ready so that way there's no hiccups there as well. You want to call in advance when you're there so that way you're not being held back or you're not delaying the appointment, etc. Okay. One thing I forgot to touch on the credit credit score is about the business credit score. So one of the credit bureaus that I currently use, I think it's really helpful just to see how your business credit is doing. So one of the business credit report companies I like checking a lot is the Experian, a small business Experian.com website. So you sign up, you can have a just a regular account with them. I suggest that you pay for an account so you can, see your business's credit score continuously. You can also see if a company put any UCC liens on your company, whether that is for equipment, products, etc., services. It's really good to see all this information and monitor it continuously, just in case something is out of whack. You can fight it, and and that way your company doesn't look like it's doing worse than it should be. So this is just a website I currently use. I highly recommend that you go and check it out if you want to, if you have a business, or if you want to check on other businesses, etc., you can always do that. So one thing about business credit that's different than your personal credit is that anyone can really just check your business credit without your permission. They can just go and see how you're doing and where you're currently at. So that it's a little bit different, works a little bit different, but that's all right as well. So on this topic about business credit, we want to touch a little bit about your DUNS number. So basically, what that is the Data Universal Numbering System. So where you're going to find this unique 9-digit number is from DMB. So they kind of harvest all that information. So you want to do is pretty much you can Google DUNS number. DMB should be pretty much the website where you're going to go to. You can right click, get a DUNS number. It's pretty self-explanatory. What you're gonna do here is you're gonna put your company's information. You're gonna put who you are, the members of your LLC. You can also put the hours of your business website, your business number. And what's gonna happen is usually either they mail you a DUNS number or it pops up right away. I haven't done this in a while since we set up our company a little while ago. But you can usually get your DUNS number under 2 weeks. So you're gonna get your DUNS number, etc. It's really important that you save this number. A lot of lenders, a lot of banks, a lot of credit institutions are gonna want to know your DUNS number when you're first starting out. Also, when you're talking with vendors and you're talking net terms, right? Getting that business credit history looking right. They're gonna know this number. So all those little things, you're gonna want to know them. You're gonna want to save them. If it's a paper, sometimes they'll send you an email, just save that to your desktop, save it somewhere else as well, just in case something was were to erase that was not planned. So those are just some of the business credit things that you're going to need. Obviously, there's a lot more information out there that you can Google, but I'm just giving you the basics, just starting off the things I needed, and I'm sure some of the things you might need as well. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is business loans. So this is just based on experience. So this may not even apply to you, but if it does, then great. You let me know in the comments. Another thing, please subscribe. We're trying to get our channel. So our channel name, for those of you who just joined in, is Business Taxes and Insurance Depot. So we're here to give you game on the business side. We're here to give you game on the taxes, and we're here to give you game on the insurance. And just to levy it all out for everybody, so that people understand. These are just things I wish I knew someone was teaching me. We're going to post a lot of content on different types of businesses, different types of taxes, strategies that you can use. Obviously, with this stuff, always consult. You know, a lawyer, a tax accountant in your state and your municipality, so you are following all the laws, right? Laws can vary state to state. Things can be different. So just make sure that you're doing that. But it's important that you're aware of all these things as a business owner or as an aspiring business owner, that you're not in the dark about this, because a business can change very rapidly. What used to work yesterday may not work today. The programs that were offered yesterday may not be offered today. You don't want to miss out on any opportunities, right? The rates going up, just a few percentage points could be significant interest that you could be paying. And if you didn't take that opportunity when it was there, and now it's a little bit too late. Now you're paying for it, right? Literally. So one thing about business loans, most banks, big banks, are not going to want to give you a loan unless you have a very good relationship with them, or unless you're dealing in the real estate market or something that they can collateralize in the event that you drop the ball, right? Unless you have a lot of collateral, whether that is real estate, you have bonds, you have, some sort of capital you can put up just in case, you have stocks, things of that sort. Generally, most small businesses, let's say for instance, our good friends at Wells Fargo, are not going to approve a 10 or 20-year loan for you. It's just probably not going to happen. If it does, hey, comment below. Love to see it. Love to hear how you did it. I love those kind of stories. One, it would help me, and I'm sure it would help the group understand what to do to get those types of loans, right? Those loans are very important. Those big banks, we definitely want to do business with them in the future. But in the meantime, want to let you guys know on the reality is, for when you're a small business loan, you might have to take on loans that have a quicker repayment period. That's for sure, and maybe a little bit higher interest rate. And with that, you want to watch out, because some of these companies, it can be very aggressive, and they can be very persuasive, high energy salespeople. But you want to make sure that you do not take on something that's going to crush your gross and net margins. So this is the last two topics that we're going to talk about here, is your gross and net margin. You're going to have to know these numbers like the back of your hand. It's crucial. You understand them. You understand on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and on a monthly and quarterly basis how your gross and net margins are, right? For most companies, having a net margin of 10% um, is okay. 15%, you're doing really good. 20% net, you're doing fantastic, right? It all depends on your industry, in your sector, right? Within that industry, etc. Like I said, this is all part of doing your research. You have to understand, hey, what do my numbers look like? Some companies can do very well and make a boatload of money at 5% margin, while other companies are completely failing, going out of business, state sale, etc. They're selling everything. They lost the house. They lost everything. So it's really important that you do your research, you understand the margins for your industries, and also that you work within your margins and always try to increase those margins as much as possible. Another thing that is extremely important as you're hiring employees is your employee efficiency, that you're tracking everything that can be tracked. That's one of the things I found most useful. As I'm growing my business here, is that I find if it doesn't get tracked, it cannot improve. If you aren't tracking, how can we do this more efficiently? Where are we wasting time? Do we need equipment to help us out, right? Because there's only so much your employees can do, and you don't want to treat them badly either. They're helping you out on this mission that you're trying to get to, and you want to make sure that you're good to them and that you're helping them out, right? You also don't want to have some sort of injury at your business because you didn't have the right equipment, and your employees are just killing themselves because they like you, they're trying to do the best job for you, but then they hurt their back, they hurt something, and now you are liable. It's in your business, and now you have to go to that unemployment insurance and dip out of there, or at worst case scenario, they sue you for whatever reason it may be. So you want to make sure you have all that dialed in very efficiently, right? If you need to look for a mentor, I suggest that you look in your industry, you get into those forums and just ask, ask, ask. Call if you have to pay for mentorship. I highly recommend it. I know it's an investment, but it's going to pay you dividends. And another thing that I learned about mentorship, sometimes if it's not direct in person, maybe you're just learning from a course, etc., whatever it may be, it's not going to have everything for you. So don't get your hopes to think you're going to learn A to Z. If it has enough for you to get started and then to learn from someone else, that is enough. No course has everything. If it is, it would cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So just understand that and move forward. Be aggressive, be loving to your people, treat them very well. Always keep up to date on the legal side. Make sure you're talking to your lawyers. Get little services where you can hire out a lawyer for a little bit. There's LegalZoom to create those LLCs for you. There's a lot of tons of services for lawyers where you can talk to them for a very small fee, just to get some understanding on the things that are going on. That way, you're not left behind. That's all I have to say today. Thank you so much for staying and watching to the end of the video. We really appreciate you supporting Business Taxes and Insurance Depot. We really hope you subscribe. We have so much to give to you guys, so much more financial products, so much more business tips, and insurance as well. That's the last thing I'll touch on. I know I said that before, but we want to make sure that when if you have heavy machinery or just in general, that you have insurances for your folks, whether that's unemployment insurance or just plain insurance for your equipment in the event something goes wrong, as well personal life insurance, health insurance. All these are packages that your employees are going to start to want in the future, right? Whether you have health insurance that they need, as the US economy keeps getting more and more obese, unhealthier, or people have, deficiencies, whether that might be they need some sort of pill to get them through the day, or whatever they may need, they're going to ask. Your employees are going to ask more and more and more of you for this. So it's really important that you have these to stay competitive in your market. As the wages keep increasing throughout the United States, you want to stay competitive with all these things. And you also want to make sure that you protect your investment in the event that you fall, that you don't leave your family holding the bucket, right? You want to make sure that, hey, if you were to unfortunately pass away, that that you have some sort of life insurance to cover you, and cover the business needs until someone can replace you, right? Or to cover the debts of the business if no one's there to replace you as well. That way you don't leave that to your family, right? So those are all little things that we will talk about in this channel. Again, thank you so much for supporting Business Taxes and Insurance Depot. We really appreciate your time here staying for this video, and look for more videos about these topics. We're going to keep posting a lot more videos for you. Thank you so much, and we hope you have a great rest of your day and great rest of your year. Keep on keeping doing business.